Hi everybody, this is Oksana, and in this video we're going to be making this fun little pendant. So I was looking through some old pictures trying to get some inspiration for a new tutorial, and I came across this design that I made many years ago, and it's actually quite similar to a pendant that I recently made a tutorial for. I'll link the tutorial that I'm talking about. It also used a sunstone, but it just didn't have this wire bit here above and below with the gaps. Like if you just ignore that and look at just this portion, that's what that pendant looked like. So maybe you remember it now. And I actually think it's a little bit easier to make than this one is. So if you've made that one and you know that wasn't like a very frustrating thing for you to make, you made it, it was all good, and you want to try this slightly different look that's a little bit more difficult to make, then this is the pendant for you. It's kind of neat. It's got these little empty spaces here above and below, and you can wear it this way, or you can just attach the cord to the other side and wear it the other way as well. So if you want to see how I made this pendant, just keep watching. We're going to start out with one piece of 18 gauge dead soft copper round wire, and I bought this spool from riogrande.com. And then for our connecting wires later on, we're going to be using some half round wire in 24 gauge. So the piece of 18 gauge wire is quite long. It is 15 inches long, and my stone is a little sunstone, and it is almost exactly 20 millimeters, or a little bit less than an inch, like 3/4 of an inch. We're gonna start out by taking some round nose pliers and making a loop. Now, this is optional, but you could hammer the loop, and what that will do is it'll flatten it a little bit, and it will make it lay down against the stone a little bit nicer. So if you choose to hammer, there's going to be several opportunities to do that in this pendant, and you would just need an iron block to hammer on and a chasing hammer. So I'm just going to hammer this little swirl. All right, and then as you can see, it looks a bit flatter. So I'm just gonna put this swirl on the back of my stone like this. And then I'm going to start bending the wire around the perimeter of my stone. So you just kind of have to hold everything in place. This is what's happening. The wire is bending around the side of the stone. And once you've bent it all the way around and you made your way back up to the top like this, we're gonna put a little bend in the wire, and we're gonna do that up here above the stone because we're forming that little area there. So you can use pliers to make a bend, or you can just do it with your finger for a more rounded bend. You can always reinforce that bend with your pliers later. So you just want the bend to happen, and then you want it to come back to the side of the stone here so that we can keep going here. So now it's coming up here on the other side, and we're gonna also make a similar bend, so leaving a gap above the stone and just trying to make a bend with my finger there, and then it's coming back to this side edge of my stone. So now it looks like this, and I'm just gonna wrap it around the perimeter of my stone again. So just like this. And now I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to try to have the little circle get smaller as I wrap so that our stone will get trapped from the front. And then I'll have to fix this because it's like a little bit more to the left instead of straight up, but that's not a problem. We can fix that. All right, so I think that would hold the front of my stone pretty nicely. So all I have to do is just trim the wire. There's a little bit extra wire. If it needs to be a little longer, just keep going with it until the window is so small that your stone doesn't fit through. And it does just kind of want to move out of place, even though it's kind of meant to be over here like this, but it kind of moves, and that's okay. We're going to secure it in place. So first we're just going to trim that. I'm just going to slide my stone out. It just slides right out in the back here so that I can lift up this wire. I'm going to make a little loop, and then I'm going to hammer that little loop flat again, just like we did with the back loop. And again, that's optional. I'm just trying to determine how big to make this little loop. All right, I think that's good. All right, so then now we just hammer it a little bit. There we go, just a slightly flattened look there, and then we can go ahead and pop our stone back in there. And then this will just lay down on the stone like that. So now we have to connect all of these wires because they keep moving around and our stone is not very secure because of that. So you could make all of these connections with round wire. If you only have round wire, you can use like 28 gauge round wire and just weave it in and out everywhere. But I'm going to do the same thing but with half round wire just because I find it a little bit easier to work with. So I've grabbed myself a little piece of half round wire, probably about 5 inches or so. I'm going to keep grabbing these little pieces if I run out, so you don't have to have it be like a certain length. This attachment process is really like, I like to play by ear and kind of see where to attach next, like where it seems wobbly. So at first everything's wobbly, so it doesn't really matter, but then like once you get started, it'll you'll have to see like where the wire needs to go. So I'm putting about half of it through underneath this wire, and I'm wrapping it around just to get it attached to something. So now that it's attached here to my back wire, I can go ahead and I can do other things with it. So I'm just going to get my pliers ready here because I think those will come in handy. So first I'm going to try to just put it through whatever wires it can go through. All right, looks like we've captured a few wires there. So the problem with half round wire is it's hard to keep it from twisting, but it is nice and flat, which makes it easier to slide under the wires. All right, so it slid under a few of these wires. So now I'm just gonna do that again and give it a little wrap and make this nice little connection there. All right, so now I'm just gonna try and put it through here. Oh, perfect. It went under all of the wires this time. So here it is on the front here. I know that this whole bit is like not centered, but it will be once we connect this other side. So I'm here on the front attaching this frontmost wire. Let's just slide our wire through here wherever it can fit. All right, so I've made that attachment there. And I'm just gonna go some more. Here's how that's looking, and now I'm gonna come back to this little loop here in the center, and I'm just gonna wrap around that a few times before I trim my wire there. Because we want to make quite a few lines here of wire on the back, and that'll trap the stone from the back so that it will not fall out. All right, so after I've done this for a few times, actually what I think I'm gonna do, I was gonna trim it, but I think this is a good opportunity since I still have a little bit of wire left. If you don't worry about it. You can always start a new wire, but I'm just gonna put it here and see if I can maybe wrap it around a few times and end it here instead, because that will create one more like little line on the back to trap the back of the stone this way. All right, so that's good. That's a few wraps, so that should stay in place. So I'm just gonna trim that. And then I'm gonna just take that little wire end and tuck it down in there, like that. All right, so now we still have the other side here, this other little wire end. So I'm just gonna take it and put it through this little loop here, trying to keep it from twisting. So now it's going underneath just this edge wire here. Now I'm gonna take it and just try to push it through whatever wires I can get there. Actually, I'm gonna go on this side. All right, so it looks like it went through just one more wire. That's fine, we'll attach that. All right, now I need to try and get it underneath more wires here. Maybe if I kind of push on these wires a little bit, trying to get them a little closer here. All right, let's try to get it underneath these other wires. Oh, I think it's working. Yes. All right, so now we can make the attachment and attach this edge here. All right. Let's see if I can manage to do that one more time, maybe. All right. And I'm going to bring it underneath this wire here. All right, now I'm just going to wrap it a few times here on the back. and I think what I'll do is I'll just wrap it a few times and then I'll trim it off here. And then I'll start a new wire. Alright, so I'm just trimming it, leaving myself a little wire end to tuck away, turning that little wire end downwards and just pressing it down in there, getting it out of the way. So now we've connected it basically here, but not here yet. So if we're looking at it from the front, it's pretty good. The stone is staying in fairly well. We'll mess around with these later to get them a little bit more symmetrical looking. But I would like to attach this little loop more than just here, maybe like somewhere around here. And I think that would also be nice to attach, put some wires in here to kind of seal up this area of the back. So what I'm going to do for that, I'm just going to grab another piece of my half round wire, another just few inch piece. And again, feel free to use round wire instead. 28 gauge round wire works nicely too. So first I'm just going to wrap it around this back wire. And now it's connected and I have these two little ends to work with. So we'll start with this end here. I'm going to try to work it underneath. So the way it's going is the half round side is facing me, so it needs to go this way. Oh, perfect. So I was able to work it underneath those two wires there. It's just really hard to not get it to twist. There we go. I'm trying to keep it untwisted. So now I'm going to just bring it to the back and then wrap it around a few times. These two wires here to make that connection. Let's see here, there we go. That's probably good. Let's bring it back. Here's how that looks. Here's that little connection that we made. And now I can just wrap it around this back wire and then trim it off. So I'm just wrapping it around a few times and there we go. Oh, I think that got a little messed up there. I think it went on like the wrong side. There we go. And again, this is one of those things, it's hard to like follow someone exactly on this, right? It's just basically wherever you can fit your wire, however you can make your connections. You know, yours might end up being slightly different, and that's okay. Just kind of go with the feel of your piece, see what areas you haven't covered yet, and just make connections in those areas. That's why I think even though this looks like a beginner piece, because it uses just basically one piece of thick round wire, I think it's actually more of an intermediate piece, because I think this would get pretty frustrating if you're wire wrapping, especially for the first time trying to trap in your stone there. All right, so that's all good. Just going to tighten up this wire, this little wire end here, and let's put it to the front so we can attach this little swirl here. So before I attach the swirl, I think I'm just going to put it through these two wires first so that I can get it kind of close to that swirl. I can have a little loop there next to the swirl. Now I'm going to put it to the front again through this big gap. And now it's close to the swirl, so I'm gonna try to slide it underneath the swirl and also underneath both of those wires. So hopefully, oh, it worked. There it is on the other side, and now I'm just gonna pull that tight, and you can see that swirl attaching and getting pulled tight there. So perfect. Now I'm just gonna bring it to the front again, and then I'll see if I can slide it under everything. Sometimes it helps to press on that little wire tip to make it nice and flat, because it starts to get like little kinks in it. Oh, that did not help. Let's try again. Let me push it through with my pliers. Oh good, there it is, coming out the other side. Perfect. So you can see that is going to be nice and attached there. And now I think I'm just gonna slide it underneath this backmost wire here. Like that. And I think the back isn't going anywhere at this point. I think we have so many little wires connected. So the only thing about this design is the back of it is kind of, I don't know, has a lot of wires kind of going on there. So we're just gonna wrap a few times, and then this will be all good. All right, perfect. So let's just trim that. Let's take that little wire end and we'll just tuck it underneath. All right, so this is good now. So the important connections to make is to have some wires across the back here to trap the back of the stone, to connect the sides here, which connects these long wires, and then to connect the swirl, and then to connect the top or bottom depending on how you hold it. So now we're just gonna take a look. I'm gonna press down on this a little bit. There we go. So it's not looking perfectly symmetrical here with these. So you can adjust them with your pliers. So I'm just taking a look, and this one needs to be just a little bit more kind of to the right. So I'm using my pliers to kind of straighten it out. So now I think it looks good. And then this one here, that one's looking pretty good. I could kind of fix this little edge of it maybe a little bit. So I think that looks good in terms of symmetry. So now we have another hammering opportunity. I think it looks cool to add some texture to this wire here, not anywhere near the stone, but just this bit that sticks out. So it's pretty hard for me to hold it in the air like this, so I need to put it on the ground, but basically, so I'll just have to do that myself off camera. Basically, you would put this on the edge like this. First, you would hammer the wire flat, and then once it starts to look flat, you turn it to this rounded portion of the hammer, and then you hammer it with the rounded portion, and that is going to add some texture. All right, so after you've hammered it, if you have chosen to do so, I don't know if you can tell, but there's some texture. There we go, I think you can see it when the light shines on it. So the way that you would wear it, kind of looks like an eye if you hold it like this. So the way that you would wear it is you would take a cord necklace, or it could be a chain as well, and you put the middle of it, you kind of fold it in half and stick it through like this, and then you take this little loop, put your fingers through it, grab the rest of it, and pull it through. And now you've made a lark's knot. If you don't like that, you can just attach a little jump ring, and that will be your bail. So you can wear it this way, or you can attach it on the other end as well. And this is just a pretty fun way to trap a stone with round wire, just slightly different to that other design that I mentioned in the beginning. And this would be a fun one too if you wanted to fill in these spaces. You can attach some little beads to them or attach more wire. There's lots of possibilities with this design. So I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.